Can you hear me, Dave? It must be busy.
I hear you, Nathan.
Can you hear me, Dave?
Yes. But hold on, I'm trying to start with a song. And I don't know if it's playing.
It must be busy.
I hear you, Nathan.
Can you hear me, Dave?
Yes. But hold on, I'm trying to start with a song. We'll be right with you, everybody. Stand by. And I don't know if it's playing.
It must be busy.
I hear you, Nathan.
Can you hear me, Dave?
Yes.
I only asked once. I don't know why it keeps repeating.
Because I have multiple streams playing. Of course, my first live stream. So everybody relax. It's gonna be okay. I'll throw my camera on. There I am. What's up, Nathan?
Good to see you, Dave. How'd the 2-hour interview go?
It was kind of like a question. It was kind of like what we're doing now, but with a host. So I was like, you should just come do it with me later. But this will be cool. This will be cool. I'm just trying to get a couple screens set up here. I had a cool song I was going to play, but for some reason it didn't want to play. But let me try again. Let me play the song, see if this works. Share with sound. Here it is. And if I hit play.
If you want to control a population, do you think you go and you tell them exactly the truth? The main reason for the moon landing hoax is to perpetuate, to continue to propagandize with this spinning ball, Big Bang, evolution cosmology that they've come up with.
All over the world, people shout these epic pictures of the Earth from space with the moon over here and the sun over there and the planets. There's none.
I know, the thought of flat earth, it sounds ludicrous. But you've been misinformed since birth and you're new to this phenomenon, and I'ma spread the word. The media lies, it's controlled, it's absurd. Have you heard how this occurred? Admiral Byrd, the first man to fly past the South Pole, said it was astonishing this ongoing land, and the government took over, and here's what they planned. First they formed the treaty that was signed by all the nations. Antarctica off limits, except for Freemasons. They then formed the fake space program, NASA, with Walt Disney as they go, man. But now we know, man, it's all been a lie. Every single picture of Earth is fake CGI.
It is Photoshop, but it has to be.
They even admit it. Still think we landed on the moon, it's time to get with it. Trillions and trillions of tax dollars, what lit it? Plus they wanna hide God, another reason why they did it. The founder of NASA, evidence that he gave. The truth, it resides right there in his grave. A quote from the Bible about the firmament, with the sun, moon, and stars up in it and permanent. Gotta go with God, he spoke the earth into existence, with the sun and the moon at a much closer distance. The same size too, but you're taught a different tune. That the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon. God said the earth was a stationary plane. The Big Bang Theory's just a government claim. They've been fooling us all, we don't live on a ball. They want you thinking that this world came from nothing at all. Space is fake and they take away G-O-D. Space is fake and they take away your money. No proof to their truth, just theories. And we don't come from monkeys. Undesigned, divine, a sign it's all meant for us. Research yourself, it's yourself you'll trust.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore.
Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go.
At night, the craters, or the dark spots, I like to call them, are black because it's in our sky and there's black sky behind it. If you look at the full moon during the day, those spots are now blue. Every picture we have from NASA of a planet is a artist rendering. They're not real pictures. If you take a strong telescope and look at a planet, it looks nothing like this. It looks like a self-illuminating light. It looks more like a star. They used to call planets wandering stars.
They tell you that space, it's an infinite vacuum there, but then it should be sucking up our atmosphere of air. Yeah, you could look up antimatter, just more proof that this is not chit-chatter with Polaris, the fixed star above the North Pole. But how can that be from what we're taught, what we're told? That the sun is moving 500,000 miles per hour. We circle it, spin and chase it, so let's face it, a star constellation would never be the same. Let's open our minds, unwash our brains. It takes a year to circle the sun, is what they say. So then in 6 months, we're exactly halfway. But now the sunlight comes from the opposite way. Then moon phases would change, and night would be day. Our globe model doesn't make sense at all. Water sticking to the exterior of a spinning ball. Water self-levels, you can see that clearly. And don't tell me gravity, it's just a theory. If a force that strong could hold all our oceans down, then nothing would be able to rise up off the ground. Gravity's impossible, it can't be selective. It's just pseudoscience and you're taught to accept it. You're taught lies from evildoers with wealth. Forget Hollywood, the media, and think for yourself. Next time on a plane, just look out your window. Horizon's eye level when it should be below. If Earth was a ball, it would drop as you rise. Where the balloon footage, more proof for your eyes. Like our transparent moon, you can see right through. And it's not a reflection, you can see that too. You can see landmarks like houses that you shouldn't. If there was curvature, trust me you wouldn't. You will see ice walls anywhere you head south. A no-fly zone, you can check all the routes. Flight paths make more sense on a flat Earth map. It's the United Nations logo, what you think about that? They've been fooling us all, we don't live on a ball. They want you thinking that this world came from nothing at all. Space is fake and they take away G-O-D. Space is fake and they take away your money. No proof to their truth, just theories. And we don't come from monkeys. Our design, divine, a sign, it's all meant for us. Research yourself, it's yourself you'll trust.
In the Bible, it talks about the sea, there's the sky, there's the firmament. What the firmament is a dome.
It says that in the Bible.
Yeah, there's a firmament, the heavens are above it, and then it talks about how the earth expands to its four corners.
The Statue of Liberty. It stands 326 feet above sea level and can be seen as far as 60 miles away. Now, if the Earth was a globe at the dimensions that they give us, that would put Lady Liberty at an impossible 2,074 feet below the horizon.
It takes time to accept this, it's expected. Like sunrise and sunsets due to perspective. It's not 93 million miles away. With sundogs, hot spots, and angled sun rays. It's close circles over the earth like a spotlight. And when it's far enough out of sight, then you got night. Picture looking down a really long hallway. Ceiling lights appear lower going away. Denser air, water molecules rising. Is why it looks bigger when it's over the horizon. Surprising, no video from space of Earth. They've been shoving this globe in your face since birth. And the ISS, another hoax indeed. Impossible to board at that ridiculous speed. Moving 22 times faster than a speeding bullet. The rug that's under NASA, come and see me pull it. And I'm sick and tired of people saying show me the edge. Cause you would freeze to death way beyond the ice wall's ledge. No one's been around the world, north, south, back north. Only east or west, with a circle as the course. It's how you get around, evidence found. We don't live in a ball spinning faster than the speed of sound.
In the late 50s, there was a treaty signed by all the major countries of power to not let anybody go into Antarctica. So if you try to get close to Antarctica, they're going to tell you, get the hell out of here. You could go on little explorations of it, but nothing without a bunch of people monitoring it.
But I tell you what you don't see from the ISS, which you really should and you never do, is one of the 17,000 satellites that are also supposed to be spinning around up there as well.
They've been fooling us all, we don't live on a ball. They want you thinking that this world came from nothing at all. They've been fooling us all, we don't live on a ball. They want you thinking that this world came from nothing at all. They've been fooling us all, we don't live on a ball. They want you thinking that this world came from nothing at all. Space is fake and they take away just their deeds. Space is fake and they take away your money. No proof to their truth, just theories. And we don't come from monkeys. Our design divine, a sign it's all meant for us. Research yourself, it's yourself you'll trust.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Nathan, you can unmute. Jump in. What'd you guys think of that song? What'd you think of that, Nathan?
The music's getting better and better. PCs from Tinfoil Hat Factory, shout him out. He sends me these hats. He just put out 5 songs. They're on Spotify, and they're all amazing. They're like ODD level quality. We're just getting better and better at what we do.
I don't even know who made that song. I'm featuring it on the app tomorrow, and it is fantastic. somebody sent it to me, and I was just like, okay, so I'm uploading it, and I really dig that song. Kind of had said it all. I think that song could take somebody from Glober to flat in 7 minutes. So most of you guys know Nathan. Nathan is mostly over on TikTok, crushing over there, crushing the globe religion. He's like one of those counselors that gets kids out of cults, right? That's how I kind of look at you over there. You're pulling people out of globe cults. You got a little. You want to wipe your lens? You got a big foggy lens.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me fix that. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no problem. It was like that on Modern Day Debate. That's pretty. Thank you, Nathan. Beautiful. No difference, but it's all good.
It's this. There you go.
Or maybe you have the blur background on. Maybe that's what I'm saying. No biggie. Nathan was on Modern Day Debate the other day with, who are those two guys?
That's PhD Blitz. He's on TikTok hating on the creator half the time.
Yep.
And then trying to debunk flat earth the other half. And then Mark Reed, who I don't know if he has any credentials or he's just like a triggered Bill Nye wannabe. But yeah, the debate, man.
And Blitz, the best comment you had, Blitz, because, I only do this as a hobby, part of my time. Baloney. Every time I go on TikTok, he's there. And if he's not crapping on flat earth, he's crapping on the creator. Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. So my first live stream, I got Nathan here. We'll take any questions, anything we're allowed to talk about, mostly flat earth related, I'm guessing, but maybe people have other questions too. So this is my fifth show today, so I'm losing my voice quickly.
Well, I saw a couple. I'm taking the 200,000 lumen flashlight to Lake Mead, and I got the Fresnel lens, which is what they do with the lighthouses to propagate that light over 40, 50, 60 miles, which almost every lighthouse, if you look up the elevation of the lighthouse and the distance it's visible from, will debunk the earth curvature. But I'm going to make my own, and I want to drop it down like 6 inches or a foot off the ground and blast it across. I want to go to Lake Tahoe, but we're going to do Lake Mead first just to kind of see how it works. And also, I just got a converted infrared Nikon P900 from Canada. I had a flat earther convert it for me, and I'm stoked to use that, Dave. So there's going to be lots of good evidence coming soon. You
got somebody to work with you on the other side?
Yeah, my buddy Miguel, he's with me right now. He's got his own P1000 and stuff. I just need someone who knows how to work the equipment because I have to be on the other side of the lake, but he's got his own 1000, so he'll know what he's doing. If anyone wants to join us, let me know. flatearthflyers@gmail.com. If you need flyers, flatearthflyers@gmail.com. Let me know.
Tell everybody about your thumb drives. You got some awesome thumb drives with killer information on them.
Let me show. I'm going to send a request to show.
Yeah, yep. No problem. Sorry about that.
No worries.
And if you got questions, you can do them at the Flat Earth Clock channel or just put them in capitals and I'll try to get to them all.
Am I sharing? I don't see on
the. Hold on. Maybe I have to give you permission to share. No,
there we go. Hold on.
There you go. Now you're good.
Sweet. So we go to video clips. There's a couple different folders. This one has, an ODD song, high altitude footage of 120,000 feet, a couple different model videos, the sunset explained on a flat table, Jenna Fredo's 30-mile Toronto observation, Rob Skiba's video explaining why things disappear bottom first, the Canigou Mountains, the sun shrinking in angular size into a little dot. This one shows the ecliptic, NASA fakery videos, cold moonlight test with forward-looking infrared done by Ken Wheeler, them testing spacesuits in a vacuum. This is a 4-minute video on Satelloons and how those are all worked and how they can move them around and track them and send them up and make thousands of them a week per factory. This is the Go Fast rocket. And then we also have Flatten the Curve by Vika Drazev. The entire documentary is on here, really good detail.
Nice.
Talk videos I've posted. I've got a silicon moon theory, a firmament theory that could be made of gold. I think they put that in our face a lot. Gravity videos and all sorts of good stuff I've pulled off of TikTok. My keynote speeches, my Flat Earth 101, my NASA fakery.
Oh, nice. So you're letting people, that's awesome. Maybe I'm going to use that.
If they want to give a presentation to their friends or family.
Why not? A lot of people looking for that. That's awesome right there. So email Nathan at flatearthflyers.com. And his flyers are awesome, and those are awesome. Great resources. And again, we're all here together. Like you guys see me out here a lot. I do a lot. But if you just meet with one person a week, a day, a month, whatever, just whatever you do to get the information out there, because we're winning. The information's getting out there, and the more we put out there, the more people will see it. I'm even uploading my old interviews on. I have a backup channel, and people are seeing them for the first time. People I know are seeing them for the first time. So again, find your favorite videos and upload them. Share other people's videos, make your own videos, whatever it is. Couple questions I saw. What happened to ODD? ODD is dealing with some personal issues, and we hope he sorts his situation out. He's around, and hopefully he deals with his personal issues. That's all I can say. And then somebody asked, what happened to, I just saw this a second ago, Nathan Roberts. Do you have an answer on that one?
I think his wife got tired of him being harassed over flat Earth. So I think that was a family issue. I don't think, he wanted to stop preaching and teaching flat Earth. I love Nathan. I stay with him at his house in Atlanta, and he just had a heart for creation. And all of a sudden he just disappeared. But yeah, I've got his book over here. He was a great guy. He did a lot of good stuff for the movement.
What's up, DJ Curious here from Strange World? That's coming on after this. We're at 10 o'clock Eastern. I encourage everyone, if you missed Zulu 1, we'll dedicate this show to him. Zulu passed away last week while restreaming Strange World. Real loss to the community. A great guy, loved everybody, and died doing what he loves, drumming and singing and streaming. So I'm sure the show's going to be all about him tonight. I think they're taking calls tonight. So that's going to be a good one.
How long are we going for, Dave? Couple hours?
2 hours max. That's it. We're not gonna pull a Nathan on TikTok for 15 hours crushing Glovers. And the problem is, I don't think any real Glovers are going to show up here. But if you're new, if you have questions, if you're a flat earther and you're like, how does this work? How does that work? Nathan is the man. I think together we can pretty much cover almost anything. And that's it. Nathan, can you keep an eye on the chat also?
Yeah, of course. I got pulled up here on my phone. So if I see questions, let me know. Are there Bible references for outer lands? I would say no. The book of Enoch actually says the firmament touches down at the ends of the earth. And we have one sun and one moon. So if there is land, it's inhospitable. It's not even worth traveling to. It's not anywhere we can farm or live or have a good time, set up restaurants and movie theaters. This is where it's at, guys. This is center stage. We've got dolphins, we've got blue whales, coconut trees, strawberries, David Wise, Sharon Flat Earth. What more do you need? We've got it all here.
All right, Nathan, let me challenge you on this a little bit, because yes, I agree with what you're saying. But when God says the firmament touches down at the end of the earth, did he say where the end of the earth was?
No, yeah, no.
Okay, but no, he said there's only one sun. I'm with you. But you agree that we all see the sun in our own personal atmospheric dome, if you will. We all see it relative to our own position. So perhaps no matter where you are, you'll see the sun where you are. Like when I show my my screen, like here, let me show you. When I show my apparent sun, let me pull this up. Where optics? So this is I divide my room with my sky sheet, and I have my sun in the firmament, or you could say, it's in the firmament. And so Paige is over here, and I say, where do you see the sun? And she says, okay, I see the sun over there, right? So this could be the outer lands, and then I'm over here on the inner lands, and we're looking at the same one sun in two different positions. Just an option. It's an idea, and it's worth investigating. That's all I want to say. Do you strongly disagree?
Strongly disagree. One sun, one moon, bro.
I think it's one sun, one moon. All right.
But it's going around polar center too. So how would it illuminate the outer lands in any way that could be hospitable if it's all the way on this side of the flat earth and the outer lands are, to me, What
right.
I see it is, Dave, it's like a coping mechanism. Everyone wanted to go to space. We thought we
Okay.
could live on Mars in a
But I'm
dome.
coping. I'm
In a
coping.
dome. Now, then we find out we live on flat Earth in a dome, and we're like, oh, there's somewhere else we got to go. It's like we wanted to go to Mars and be in a dome. Now we're in a dome, and they're like, we still want to go somewhere else. Like people are just not happy with anything, even though we have everything we need here. I don't.
Well, that's something to be investigated for sure. For sure.
We had a question. This guy asked, why not another go fast rocket, Dave? What do you think about send up? And he said with the camera facing up.
Yeah, the problem I see with that is cost, time, expertise, and permission from NASA. You know, let's say Nathan and I, we've got 20 million bucks to spend, and we're like, all right, we're going to build this rocket. We got to get permission, and we build a rocket, and the controllers go, hey, these guys have built a rocket. It's actually going to hit the firmament, and it's going to explode it. You think they're going to let us do it? It's just like our Jaron and Austin, are they going to let them see the sunset? No. It could it be cloudy? Could it be canceled? Who knows? A million things could happen. There's a whole bunch of ideas, but one thing they're not going to do is let them see the sunset. They're not sitting back going, oh man, that Will Duffy, he really thinks the Earth is a globe, and he's bringing these guys there to prove it, and it's going to prove the opposite. That's not happening. That's not happening because this has been a deception that's been going on for whoever knows how long. And this is the deception that keeps us all slaves. So that's not going to happen. So
I think it's so romantic that the Globers want to go all the way to Antarctica with flat earthers just to watch the sunset. Some romantic little love story I've ever heard. Pay $40,000 to go on a date with a flat earther to Antarctica and watch the sunset.
So I called in a Jaron. Did I tell you I called in a Jaron show the other day, and I said, Jaron, I have a prediction. I said some world event's going to happen, and all flights are going to be canceled for 6 months. And he goes, oh, really? I go, yeah, but the bad news is it's going to happen on the 17th when you're in Antarctica, and you're going to be stuck there for 6 months. He didn't like
that. Sun moved north, and they're stuck there for 6 months, bro. It's going to be not bad news bears. They're going to freeze.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see.
So, all right, let's go through the questions. Do you think Christ, the Lord, Stephen Christopher got snubbed for the final experiment? Pastor Duffy should have known better than not to invite the Lord reincarnate. I don't even know who this guy is.
Well, I think he's talking about the concave Earth guy from years ago. I think he died. Concave Earth makes no sense when you look at it. I mean, if you think about it, concave Earth, Globers say that planes are nosing down when they're flying over level plane. Think about this: the SR-71 Blackbird would have to pull an upward arc at 80 feet per second just to follow the concave Earth, right? That would push them down into their seat, and the SR-72 would have to go at like 130 Gs in an upward arc. It's the reverse of a 0G plane. It's a 130 G plane. None of that works. None of that works. So the concave Earth, and I encourage people, if you want to look into concave Earth, keep looking. Show me some good evidence. If you want to look into upward rising Earth, I don't believe it, but maybe you'll come up with some evidence that'll show me. But the stuff that they've shown right now is easily debunkable, the way I see it.
A lot of comments. It's just few and far between with the questions. How to explain how the waves are blocking the bottom of a boat from up high on a cliff looking through a telescope? You want to take that one, Dave?
Well, I haven't seen. I mean, when you're standing, Jaron had a great picture the other day. It was actually a Soundly picture, looking down this road towards this bay, but you're way up on this hill. And in the picture, the water looks like it's above your head, but everything is below your feet. If the Earth is a globe, right? And even on a flat Earth, but it's worse on a globe because it goes down. But I'll show you so we all know about perspective going left or, the sides come in, the top goes down, the bottom goes up, and everything appears to be at your eye level, right? Everything appears to be at your eye level. Let me just clear this. So this is what I call, where is it? Right. So here's a shot. And from where my drone is to where this last tree is, is about 2 miles. Right? From this last tree to where you see that horizon is about 30 miles. So not only do things go from the left to the right and the top to the bottom, but they go from the back to the front. Okay? So let me see if I got this. So here's 3 lines, right? From here to here is X distance. And from here to here is 50 times that distance, right? From here to here is 1/4 mile. And from here, it's hard to see, New York City is right back there, is 25 miles. So it's 100 times the distance crunched into there. So when you have something like a boat, it's getting smaller, it's getting smaller. And at this point, it's no longer going farther into your visual space. It's only getting smaller. Because from your point of view, it's not really getting farther. It's just getting smaller. And a little wave here will hide all of New York City.
Exactly. Yeah, that's called foreshortening.
Is that called foreshortening? That's what I said it was, but somebody said that's not what foreshortening is.
Yeah, there's 3 components of foreshortening. Things in the distance get smaller, things appear compressed in the distance, and the third thing, most important that Globers never think of, is smaller waves in the foreground or objects in the foreground could obstruct distant objects, which have become smaller and compressed in the distance. That's
Right.
foreshortening. Those are the 3 components.
And so, you know the problem with this, right? We have our sun setting and we have our coin. What do Globers say about this, Nathan? They say the camera is the camera's below the table. But then when we zoom in, we can see the coin again. But I agree with the Globers. When we zoom in, we're making that iris bigger and the iris is rising above the table and it can see. Right? So I agree. The camera is below the table. But this line right here is not at your eye level. It looks like it's at your eye level. I say this line is 20,000 feet above your eye level.
How?
Because very good. So let me show you. So here we have our perspective grid. And those of you that watch my videos, I do this all the time, but I'm going to make some new graphics. Got this guy's eye line. We'll throw a mountain here. Mountain's 3,000 feet above his eyes. You got the sun above it. Sun moves away. Is it below the horizon or beyond the mountain?
Beyond the mountain.
Beyond the mountain. So we move the guy backwards, let's say 25 miles, and now the mountain looks like it's at his eye level. Flat or globe, it's still 3,000 feet above his eyes, right? Globe, you could say it's a little lower, right? It's still 3,000 feet above his eyes. So we move the sun beyond the mountain again, right? So this looks like it's at his eye level, but it's already 3,000 feet above his eye level. It gets worse. Add the sky, so you have the atmosphere. If there was no clouds, you still have the atmosphere, and over a certain distance, the atmosphere will become opaque. But the atmosphere also compresses into this line. So as the sun goes away, this line is the top of the mountain and the entire atmosphere. How high is the atmosphere? 15,000, 20,000 feet? So 20,000 feet is compressed into that eye level and it's opaque. So anything celestial, any celestial object will go beyond it. Terrestrial objects will go into it, and sometimes you can zoom them out. And then you have your foreshortening, so things are just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So the little wave in the foreground will hide that thing getting smaller and smaller. It's how our eyes work.
I have a video where the camera is clearly above the table on the thumb drive. If you want me to pull it up and show people real quick,
Sure.
But we have a question.
Yeah, when you're ready.
Have you seen Crow finding the second sun, Dave?
I have seen Crow's work, and those sun pictures are mind-blowing, and it basically shows me that anything I thought I knew about the sun, I don't know.
Yeah, here's a funny one. Globers will cry because this one doesn't have a solar filter, but the atmospheric conditions are perfect for this one because the sun just shrinks into a little dot. I can line this bar right here up with the horizon, and it starts fading away well above the horizon because, like you said, all that atmosphere is not only there, but it's compressed right at that limit, right at that vanishing point. So look how far above it is. It's not even going down anymore. It's just moving away and attenuating. You see that? The camera drops. He stops the camera, but I mean, this is a great video. In Glover's Cry, there's no solar filter, but we got it shrinking with the solar filter too. Here's the one with Rob Skiba did. It's above the table for sure. And then he slides this chair back. He's got it on a chair. Camera's on a chair, and he just slides the camera back. And you'll see the top of the table here. On each side, you can still look down at the table and see the surface of the table. Dave, I can't hear you. You're muted.
You were gone for 2 minutes. When you started your video, everything froze.
Oh, no worries. Start over.
Are we still streaming?
Looks like we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it online.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I'll run through that one more time. Yeah, this is a video of it above the table. You can look down at the table. You can still see the surface of the table, even though it's moved away, right? So we're looking down at the table, Dave, right? Are we freezing up again? Ah, you froze on me. Is it playing? Can you guys hear me? Hello. Not sure what's going on there. Dude, what are you doing? Come on.
Whenever you're sharing, you're freezing.
Weird.
Yeah.
Let me try that one more time. Desktop.
The stream is perfect. All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right, cool. I'm gonna play this sun getting smaller video one more time.
All right. Well, last try. If it doesn't work, we're gonna have to do something else.
No worries. You line this bar up with the marine horizon right here.
Yep.
And then you slide this over, and the sun fades away above this bar.
Yep.
You'll see local light illumination. You look at any of the NASA photos when a sunset, it's 1,000 times bigger than the Earth. So it illuminates the entire horizon. That's what it would do on the heliocentric model. That's not what we see. And then I just want to show you this video. This is the one where the camera is above the table still. He puts the camera on a chair and rolls the chair back. So you can still see the top of the table.
Yep.
So they can't say that the camera is below the table if you're looking down at the top of the table in this video. So I just want to point that out. But yeah, let's find some more questions.
And the other thing, the marine layer, which is that thickest air above the water, that becomes opaque even closer. So that'll even replace waves. And they're also probably taller than waves. So things will disappear into that marine layer.
Question, has anyone noticed what SpaceX doing in the sky in the last 10 years? That's kind of a vague question. I don't know where to go with that one.
Somebody asked why all satellite dishes point south. I don't know if they all point south, but I think that they bounce stuff off of the dome along the center of the dome because in the 80s, yeah, my father lived in the Caribbean, and we had a giant dish on our house, like 20 feet wide, or it was huge. And it moved from, there was like 5 or 6 or 7 different spots in the sky where it would pick up a series of signals, like 10 or 20 channels. So I think what they're doing is they're sending signals up to the dome at a certain point, which they've energized. Because remember the report where they said they either hit it with a laser or a bomb, and it energizes the dome and it stays energized for years, and they could bounce signals off of that. Some NASA whistleblower was talking about it. So think about this. You're NBC, you're transmitting, you just shoot it up at that one point. Anyone that points a dish towards that spot on the dome will get the signal.
Yeah, there's a part in the 3-Body Problem on Netflix, which if you guys haven't seen, it's interesting. There's tons of little nuggets in there. But the military in China is sending a signal to Jupiter, and they're sending it to the sun. It's coming down through Jupiter or something. And the lady was like, how the hell is that happening? She couldn't figure it out. But on a flat Earth, it makes way more sense. I think there's a layer that they'd have to get through before they could hit the firmament, like the sodium layer. It's 50, 60 miles up. It's allegedly 3 to 7 miles thick. I think I've got a theory that could be what's causing the rainbows, the color to refract for the rainbows. I don't know. It's just something I'm throwing out there, but it's thick, and I don't think they can get through it with a rocket. And I think they could be skimming across that rather than like the hard surface of the firmament. That could have been also with the Go Fast rocket hit.
You know, you flat earthers, you don't know things. So then you must be stupid, right? You don't know what the sun is or how far it is, but we know the sun is helium and hydrogen floating in a space vacuum with gravity that holds on to Pluto and Neptune and ignores our moon. Okay. That's what they know. They want us to explain what the friggin' sun is, and that's what they think the sun is. Okay.
Also, Dave, did you know the ozone layer is more dense than the layer below it? So Globers will always bring up this idea that the atmosphere just attenuates into nothing off into space, but it attenuates and then you get the ozone layer and it's more dense than the gas below it. Have you ever heard that?
No, I have not.
Yeah. So it doesn't just attenuate up to the firmament. The ozone layer is actually thicker than the particles below it.
I was talking to somebody and they were like, well, I'm a ham operator and we bounce signals off the moon. So how can you tell me the moon, and we could time it and we know how far it is.
Well, if there's a superfluid up there, that could slow down the signal. So they're assuming the medium that signal is traveling through. We could have explanations for that too.
Yeah, it slows down, it hits the dome, comes back, and they're like, oh, that's the distance to the moon. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, the distance to the moon's funny too. They use parallax to figure that out, and they said they couldn't do it with the sun because the moon has topography, but the sun doesn't. The sun has sunspots. So they could have used the sunspots the same way they used the topography on the moon, but they didn't because it would have been the same distance. I don't know.
Yeah. So first, Run Boston Bear, I saw your question about that song. That song will be the featured song on the app tomorrow. Everybody download it, share it, upload it to your channel. I think it's a great song. Love that. Rachel's asking, how did I first wake up to conspiracies? Not flat earth. We've heard that one. I kind of just my whole life been questioning things. I told the story about the teacher teaching me about gravity, swinging a bucket of water around and like first grade or something. And I said, doesn't the water have to be on the outside of the bucket? And the teacher goes, well, this is how we're taught to teach it. And this is how I'm going to teach it. Right. So maybe that's when I woke up. But the real one for me was 9/11. That picture I showed you with the rowboats on the beach, that was actually looking in New York City. And the camera doesn't do it, but clear day. Trade Towers are right there. So I watched it from that location. And it wasn't what we were shown on the news. So that was my real wake-up call.
For me, I went to church randomly when I was 22 years old with my friend. It was my first time meeting this pastor, Daryl Lawson. And at the end, we're just chatting back and forth, and he starts bringing up nanothermite, all this stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? What is nanothermite? Why are you telling me that the GOV was responsible for 9/11? You have lost your mind. I thought he lost his mind. And I went home and looked into the information. I was like, yeah, it fell at free fall speed. Like, how could it do that? It would crumble off to the side. And I just started putting pieces. And for 10 years, I was like, there's something more to this conspiracy. And then I found Flat Earth and I was like, this is it, bro. This is what they're hiding. This is how they're all working together. And this is the ultimate conspiracy. So this is the bottom of the rabbit hole, in my opinion. And then there's so much to learn here and never stops. So.
Yeah. They found the passport from the terrorists on the sidewalk. It actually landed next to an FBI agent's feet. Otherwise, a regular bypasser might not have noticed that it was a terrorist passport. So that was one of the key things that just made me go, all right, this is 100% nonsense. And then once you realize that everything is nonsense, it's all theater, you can start, disconnecting from it and stop giving your power to it, because the entire thing is theater. The alien invasion that's going to happen, and the Project Bluebeam and all the stuff, it's all theater, right? It may not even happen. It's just theater to get everyone's emotions, and so they can literally harvest our loose energy. Flat earthers, we get it. And if everybody would just relax, calm down, and stop freaking out, I think that the whole thing is going to come together way better than anyone realizes. The other thing is, and I said it, I think I said it, I've done so many podcasts today, I don't know if I said it here. We have to stop fighting with each other. Upward rising earthers, do your research, present it. If we don't agree with it and you still think we're wrong, keep doing it. It's fine. Globers, Globers, we're against the Globers, but we're all the globe is a lie. All right. And that's what matters, waking people up to the lie. So there you go.
We got a question here from DJ Curious. I get this a lot. How does the sun's rays hit the underside of planes? Is that just the angle when the sun is setting where the planes are at? Why do Globers use this as proof, Dave?
So who just did a video on that? Debunking David Keegan. On the app, if you go to the more resources page and we go to the debunking the debunkers, which is right there. Let me pull this up. And I believe it's one of the first videos right here. Debunking Dave McKeegan, sun under plane. Second video in the debunking the debunkers section. And he shows that it's just how the sun reflects, right? And another thing you can do, if you look at it here, if you go to the images section and put sun under, UNDR, there we go. And these are pictures that I took just over a couple days, and anyone could take pictures and showing the sun under clouds, right? So here's the sun clearly underneath the clouds, but the tops of the clouds are lit. The tops of the clouds are lit, right?
That was what I was going to bring up, Dave.
Yeah. So here's again the sun underneath these clouds, but if you look at the clouds, you can see that the tops are lit right here. The top of the cloud is lit, and the more you look at these things, you see the tops of the clouds. Like, now, what's different about these clouds? These are thick clouds, but when you look and there's thin clouds, they look like they're lit from underneath, but the thick clouds aren't. It's just the sun coming through the clouds. It's how we see. If you're standing on the street, it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's a highway overpass, and you see the sun underneath the highway overpass. Is the sun below the highway overpass? No, it's just you have an angle to the sun, right? You know that the sun is way higher than that if it's up in the sky. So that's how we think we see it. And also in the debunking the debunkers section, there's a whole bunch of videos done by P-Brain and Taboo Conspiracy on the which mountain is that they all love with
Mount
the sun
Rainier?
on? Yeah, Mount Rainier.
So I think it's important to note that the sun rays are not reflections. The sun rays are electromagnetic energy coming from the sun down from the firmament. A reflection is point of view specific. Just like when you're standing on the beach, Dave, and you see the reflection come down to your toes, and then you look at your wife and she sees the reflection come down to her toes. She doesn't see your reflection and you don't see hers. So think of someone directly under the sun where you're seeing the sunset while it's reflecting off the bottom of the clouds. If they zoomed into your location, are they going to see the sun rays reflecting off the clouds while the sun is directly above their head at zenith? No, that's a point of view specific observation. If you're on the top of a mountain and the sun's setting, or you're in an airplane and the sun is setting, you'll never see the rays from the sun come through the cabin or through the fuselage of the airplane, the window, up. Never see sun rays coming up. You can see a reflection of sunlight off the sky, but that's point of view specific. That's based on your observation and where you're at and your location. What do you think about that, Dave?
I agree, 100%. There's somebody just said that they've showed me evidence and I ignore it. I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know who they are. Nucksec. Dave, I presented evidence. You literally ignored it. So don't front with this share evidence BS. If you don't like it, you're just ignore it. No idea what you're talking about.
What does this one's from Gene edited, and all of a sudden my chat scrolled. He wanted to know about how the sun was hydrogen and helium and it condensed enough to start fusion in space.
What's the question?
The hydrogen and the helium floating around in the infinite vacuum of space, coalescing into a mass so gigantic that it could start to fuse like in on itself and create nuclear fusion.
And burn forever, burn for billions of years.
Forever and ever, billions of years.
And not get smaller, right? Not get smaller. You know what's helium and hydrogen in our sun? So much that it can burn like 640 billion tons an hour or a day, whatever it is, and still not get smaller after billions of years.
And the entire time it's like ejecting particulates. That's what the northern lights are, right? They claim it's like solar flares and stuff being ejected from the sun.
You know how much helium and hydrogen you need before it starts collapsing upon itself? in the words of Monty Python?
How much?
A lot.
A lot too much, bro.
I just watched The Life of Brian with Paige for the first time. First time she's ever watched it last night.
A member in chat wanted a link to the intro song, please, Dave.
A link to that's going to be on the. It's going to be featured video tomorrow on the app, 8:01 a.m. Eastern.
All right. Well, that guy's name is It's Flat, so he must be trolling with that question. He's like, why can't I see across the entire United States? So we'll just skip over that one. Guys, 400 people here. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for sharing and being here. We really appreciate it.
What we can answer that one if you want.
Yeah, like I've had observations where I couldn't see buildings in the distance. When we rented a helicopter and converted the camera to infrared, thank God we converted the camera, because when we got up above the tree line, you couldn't see any of the buildings. And then we turned the infrared on and you could see all the building. So infrared travels further. It's why the military used it. It's refracted less. It's attenuated less by the atmosphere. The four main things that cause attenuation, and I haven't found a single glober that knew this on TikTok, water vapor, carbon dioxide, oxygen, and ozone. And so those things are always in the atmos. They're always going to be attenuating the light. Attenuation is absorption or reflection of the electromagnetic energy. So I don't think we're refracting the light around the curvature. I don't think they can use the word refraction. The word is distortion. It's similar to looking through a lens. A good example of refraction would be putting a straw in water. So when we look over at this mountain right here, there's no straw in water. There is a lensing effect. So it's distortion, not refraction. Right. Don't let them say the R word anymore. It's a bad word.
This is infrared camera, and this mountain's just over 7,000 feet. There's over 7,000 feet of curvature, so we should only see the very tip right here. But this is infrared. Take off the infrared, blue sky, and no mountain. Right? So you know what a glober calls blue sky, no mountain? They call it Earth curve. But it's just the obfuscation of the light through the attenuation of the light. And this is Mount San Jacinto. I said it right for the first time. San Jacinto. Okay. Every time I mention it, somebody sends me an email phonetically spelling it for me, like, Dave, you got to get it right. Right. So there you go.
Speaking of email, Michael Barker, what is the email again for Nathan? My email is flatearthflyers@gmail.com.
Yeah, buy one of his thumb drives and a couple packs of the flyers, and arm yourself up with some good video, and pop those flyers in people's stockings and under their napkins at the Christmas table. That's always fun, right?
Can I roll on that one, Dave? Also, I looked at my Patreon on my birthday 2 weeks ago. And it was $30 a month. And I go, I've done over 300 meetups, traveled to South Korea, done speeches on stage with Rob Skiba, Marks. How do I have $30 on my Patreon? It's because I never talked about it. Because I don't want people to think I do this for the money. But if you guys can do like $3 on my Patreon, or like $1 on my Patreon, if everyone who told me they loved what I did, like contributed $1 a month, then I'd have more technology. I'd have more time. I'd be able to travel more.
What's your Patreon?
So love you guys. Patreon. Let me
What is your Patreon? Where do you find it?
Patreon.com/Nathan Thompson. But if you want to email me, I can send it to you that way. flatearthflyers@gmail.com. Thanks for letting me say that real quick, Dave. I appreciate it.
No problem. Listen, again, I don't do this for the money. We both do it because nothing makes us happier than helping other people reach their full potential, see their connection to who they really are. And that's our real thing. You know, the reason I love Nathan is because he's authentic. Okay. And when you look at somebody that's highly loved, they're very authentic, right? They're just authentic people. Being authentic is the key. It's right up there with love. Maybe even higher, right? But you can't have one without the other.
We had a question why we can't see Polaris from the Southern Hemisphere. I think anytime a glober brings up Polaris, they're essentially waving the white flag. And they're like, I can't prove curvature. I'm going to use a stationary pole star to prove I'm moving through space at breakneck speeds. But the explanation for that, I just go to the Walter Bislin Flat Earth Dome model, and I can show that on screen. I got it pulled up if you want, Dave.
I have an easier explanation, but go ahead. You can show that first if you want.
This is how I explain it on TikTok for people. So I go here, and then you just line up the camera direction, and you can see Polaris here. We'll give you like a sideways view, and then we move away with the green bar, observer latitude. and it drops to the point where it's no longer visible at the equator. And you have a whole new set of stars that are latitude, longitude dependent. And that's why planispheres, when you buy planispheres, they're latitude and longitude dependent, because where you are is going to determine what you see. And I got a couple of planispheres right here.
Nathan, how high do you think the dome is?
I have no clue, bro.
No clue. Okay.
I have no clue. But yeah, there's more constellations in the south. The north and south are not analogous in like a dozen ways, but just off the top of my head, more constellations in the south, more time zones in the south. My friend Chris is doing research on how the stars are processing faster in the south. Fauna and flora is different in the north and the south. Drastically different world record lows for temperatures in the north and south. Different seasonal temperature ranges in the north and the south. That's why I think they call it the Arctic and the Antarctic, because it arcs around the observer in the north and it ticks like a clock. That's why they do celestial navigation in arc seconds, minutes, and degrees. And then in the south, it's the antithesis of that. It's the opposite. It arcs away from the observer, which is what everyone's waiting to see this month. So I think we're gonna see it arc away from the observer. That's how it gets the name Antarctica. So good questions from the chat.
So I'll have a simpler explanation for, I think again, I can make no claims on how high the dome is, but I think that it's very low. I think it's very low in comparison. And when we look at these globes, snow globes, it would be more like a CD case, a low lying dome. So if we're in a room, let's say we're in a Home Depot and the lights in the ceiling are just in random configurations, and we look up and I say, Nathan, you see that octopus? You see that horse? Yeah, it's cool, right? So now we're going to make the Home Depot 100 miles wide. And I say, Nathan, go for a walk. And about 20 minutes later, I call him. I can't see him. He's a couple miles from me. And so I call him on his phone. I say, Nathan, look up. Do you see the horse and the octopus? You're like, no, I see completely different lights. Like, well, then the Home Depot is a sphere, right? Because it's simply perspective. And now that's just like, in Vegas, that's where you live. And you go to the Bellagio, the one end of the hallway to the other, the ceiling is touching the floor. That's just in the friggin' hotel. Yeah. Right? Imagine that 10 times longer, you wouldn't even be able to see the person anymore. Right? They look up, they see different lights. And that's how simple it is. So, the Globers say, well, here is Polaris right here. So it's straight up. That would be 90 degrees to the floor. And when you go over here on a flat Earth, there's 45 degrees. You go over here, maybe 25 degrees, right? But it would never hit the ground, the Globers say. It'll never hit the ground. Yeah. Because this is an orthographic view, which doesn't exist in reality, right? So this is the view as he goes backwards, 45, 25, and then a little farther, it's going to go into that atmospheric soup. It's going to disappear behind the atmospheric horizon, which appears to be a line that's opaque. You think it's Earth curve if you're a Glober, and that's how it happens.
Love it.
There you go.
I keep losing my place in chat. I don't know how to keep it on the same place. Sorry.
Somebody wants me to talk about how I think that the moon has something to do with the transportation of souls, delivering them to and from this soul system. I have no proof or evidence of it, but it's something that I've read about. Other civilizations have talked about it, and makes sense to me, but I couldn't tell you how it works or if it's right. So it's just something that I like looking into.
MS said, do you know anything about sulfur hexafluoride? They can't find a video Iru Landucci did on sulfur hexafluoride. Yeah, it's not a naturally occurring element, and Globers use it to demonstrate how you can put gas in a container that's not a closed container and float like an aluminum foil boat or something on top of the gas. But if you leave that there for 6 or 12 hours, the air that's inhomogeneous and anisotropic, the air conditioning from the ceiling of the room they're in, it's going to move that gas out of the container. So it would not stay in that container without a closed container. So in my opinion, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot with that non-naturally occurring gas that they're putting in a container, by the way. Dave, you're muted.
time, heavier than the air. So you can it's kind of like water. Water will go in an open container, but you remove the sides of that container, you have the same problem you have if it's water. It's gone.
Monty said, are you saying the universe isn't expanding? In the 1600s, they did something called the Magdeburg hemispheres. They had chariots of horses with a copper sphere, and they had a vacuum inside the sphere. The chariots of horses could not pull the two hemispheres apart. So they claim outer space is expanding in all directions at almost the speed of light. And they can't even pull a little copper ball the size of a basketball apart with chariots of horses. That's how strong a vacuum is resisting that force outwards. And they've just hijacked the minds of the Globers and been like, yeah, it's a vacuum, but it's also expanding its volume in all directions too. Ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous.
Can I tell you a story? Once upon a time, there was nothing, Nathan, and then it exploded and it became everything, and then everything, the gas started collapsing into massive balls, some of them 186,000 miles long, some of them a million times bigger than that. And then they burn forever in a space vacuum, and they have gravity, and they could hold on to certain things, but not other things. They only hold on to planets. But whenever another ball is near a ball that has gravity, the farther gravity ignores that gravity because the closer gravity will hold on to it. And it works perfectly like a clock. You could actually set your watch to it. It's amazing, isn't it?
And then our great grandparents crawled out of a pond. And then next week, Elon Musk gets to put a chip in our brain.
There you go.
We live happily ever after all, dude. Like what a great story.
It's amazing.
So, if the earth is rising, do raindrops rise and fall at the same time? That's actually a pretty funny question. Oh man. Why can no one show the summer? Why can no one in the southern hemisphere show the sun's path in southern summer? Flat or globe? I guess we'll see in a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. But again, if the sun does set, which they're not going to let us see, but if we did see it, we're like, okay, the globe is dead because they make that positive claim. Now, flat earthers, including myself, said a circling sun cannot work in Antarctica. I also said a flight from Santiago is impossible to New Zealand or to Australia, a nonstop flight. But then I found out flights have longer distances. They use the air currents, so they fly higher. So yes, we're allowed to change our mind based on new information. Globers know everything and never change their mind, no matter how ridiculous.
Dave, have you ever seen an example of water flowing uphill or upstairs?
The Nile River?
No, check this out. I saw it on Action Lab. He took a superheated surface and you put drops of water, and even though the surface is tilted upwards, because the water gets superheated, there's a layer of gas that forms, and you'll actually see the drops start going up. They travel uphill, bro. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, I thought water always goes down. We now have an example of water going up. And if you had little grooves in it too, he showed it like a file, you can actually get the water to travel upstairs. So it was interesting. Crazy. Action Lab, dude. I find out so much cool stuff from Action Lab on YouTube. Check them out.
When we started doing all those tests with the moonlight being cold, which is true, the moonlight is provably colder, but 99 out of 100 of those tests people do incorrectly and get a false positive. But if you do it correctly, like Nathan is showing you right there with that proper tool, yes, it is. And so then the Globers came out and they said, you can't have cold light. Literally the next day, Cody's Action Lab came out with the cold laser video showing that they could freeze things with a laser. It's like the creator works in amazing ways,
Also, the moonlight will illuminate scorpions. So it can't be sunlight. Sunlight doesn't illuminate scorpions. Yeah, there's certain scorpions that'll become illuminated. They'll glow in the moonlight because the ultraviolet light from the moon, and even the ESA, space.com, the NASA will admit the moon is magnitudes brighter in gamma than the sun. So there's no chance it's reflecting sunlight.
Amazing. Amazing.
John said, I'm huge from Flat Earth, but I have a question. Okay, well, I
love questions.
He didn't put the question, dude. And then he said, I really need your help. I have a question. All right, well, John, type the question, bro. We're happy to help.
Type it if you want to type your questions in capitals. It helps. Do you think, Dave, do you think fallen angels are disguised as celebrities? Can't rule that out. I don't know what's going on with celebrities. There's a lot of crazy stuff.
Hey,
Go ahead.
I just read a book called Thanks for the Memories. This lady said she was purchased at an auction by Bob Hope. Her family before then was already splitting her personalities and stuff. She talks about Sylvester Stallone making films with dolphins. I'll just let your imagination wander there. But Margaret Thatcher, Mickey Rooney, O.J. Simpson. She says all these people are under control from very young ages. They send them to high schools. The high school she went to, the people were working for NASA. She mentioned some astronauts that went to, I think it's Taft Middle School in Woodland Hills. And she said, like, they'd be able to miss days at a time. They'd come to school and just be completely out of it. And no one would call their parents or the police or report anything. Everyone was kind of like hush hush about everything going on. But man, her book I read it in 3 days. It was 400 pages and it blew my mind, Dave. She said Alan Greenspan has like separate mints in San Francisco and they're just like in warehouses printing off money. And depending on what's coming into the country through the ports, they either like rise the influx with inflation or lower it. And she was with JFK and Nixon and Lyndon B. Johnson from the time she was like 10 to serve as the president. So it was gross. Books worth checking out if you got a stomach for it.
Yeah. So that's just the beginning, right? So again, who are these celebrities? I don't know. Do you remember when, have you seen the pictures like, claiming that like Eddie Murphy and Clint Eastwood, they're vampires because there's pictures of them from like the 1800s and it looks exactly like them. You've seen those, right?
Yes.
Or, maybe they're clones, if that's the right word. Maybe they do live forever. Who the hell knows?
Or twins, right? I know they work with twins quite a bit.
Or if you look into the Cabbage Patch Kids and the incubators, maybe they were just breeding, and there's a lot of them that are the same. So if you come from this line, there's a whole line of Eddie Murphys. Yeah,
Mr. Jones said, if the globe model was accurate, why isn't there a small scale model of it holding water? And Globers always ask us this model question. They don't actually know what a scientific model is. A scientific model is a representation of a particular phenomenon in nature. So when it comes to specular reflections and gas pressure gradients and water needing a container and frictionless orbits with quantum locking, we have all the models on flat Earth. It's like a Victoria's Secret catalog over here. And Globers have cartoons, video games, falsehoods, and vain paralogisms that they masquerade as proof and evidence in science, but it's a joke. So we got all the models. Don't let them bamboozle you or Jedi mind trick you with that model question, because they can't model water on a spinning ball. They can't model gas pressure next to a vacuum. They can't model a gravitational orbit. They don't have any models. It's just a video game, a cartoon. So I love that one. That's a good one. People got to learn the model one. Why do planets not twinkle like the stars do? Because they're separate. They're separate from the stars. They're unique stars.
You should investigate why there's no 24-hour circling moon in the Arctic. I think there is a 24-hour circling moon every month.
Yeah, my friend is in Australia or Alaska. She's on the 60th north latitude, right where you can see it. And she says you can see it circle around sometimes.
It's just hard to see during the day. No, you're not going to notice it. Like the moon is in the day and the night. When it's in the day, it's hard to see. The sun never goes into the night sky because it's always day when the sun's out. Or daylight, at least.
Well, a few months out of the year, they'll have 24-hour nighttime up there.
Right, but it's still daytime.
Still daytime.
If it's light, it's day, isn't it?
All right. Why can't you see a car that is 6 feet in front of you when there is dense fog? Come on, Globers. All right. Sorry. I got to stop reading. I got to proofread them first. Have you heard of Knoll Island?
No.
Doesn't exist, and it's used for coordinates to work. I guess that was a joke. I don't know.
No, that sounds like something NASA would do.
This guy's asked about the Pearl Harbor attack like 20 times. Bro, that's a meme. That's a cartoon meme. Okay. I've seen that question so many times.
What, like he doesn't understand how Pearl Harbor could happen?
Oh, this guy said, how would one explain the sun reflecting on bottom of clouds at sunset? That's the guy, John, who's been screaming, answer my question 20 times. We went over it about 20 minutes ago, but real quick, reflections are not sun rays. So you'll never see the sun rays coming up into an airplane or up into a cabin on a hill. The sun rays always come down. Reflections are point of view specific. It depends on where you are. That's why you can see the reflection on the bottom of clouds, because of where you are, not because the sun rays actually beaming up onto the top of the clouds.
Right. And if the sun was setting below an Earth curve, you would have a sweeping shadow from behind your head towards the sunset as it went down, right? Because the sun, the sun would be going behind the ball, so that shadow would sweep forward from behind you towards the sun across the sky. Never been seen. Never happened. Never happened.
Someone says, Nathan, what's your YouTube channel name? My YouTube is Be the Change, one word. It's a backup account. I actually don't even have control of the Google that account is on. So,
what is your TikTok?
Yeah, at the real Nathan Thompson, at the real Nathan Thompson, or at Enoch of TikTok. I have two of them. I already got a backup because we're censored over there like crazy too. So,
what do you think is causing my house to shake 25 miles from Stennis Space Center? They're testing Artemis there. Well, by the way, they just did kick the can down the road again. Artemis is delayed just 2 more years. Don't worry. In 2027, they'll prove it to us. No worries. They do have giant engines and speakers. They're literally can make a lot of noise. Using a rocket engine bolted to the ground to shake the ground isn't mean anything about going to space. So they're creating, vibrations and sound to make everyone for 50 miles think their rockets are taking off.
Yeah, there was a guy who was near one of those, and he said it was going to rain a few hundred miles away in Missouri because of this cloud generator. But he said it was the loudest thing he's ever heard in his life, and he was a mile away from the cloud generator. So that was an interesting video. Nathan or Dave, would you be able to comment on McKeegan's Battle of the Beams? Debunk. I've never heard of this.
Ask it again.
McKeegan's Battle of the Beams? Debunk. Have you heard of it?
No.
Me neither.
I don't watch him. Is there a simple, easy explanation why we have snow-capped mountains with a local sun? Nathan?
Yeah, I would say that the sun rays can't actually be measured hot until they come in contact with gross matter here on the Earth. So, and then that heat rises through convection. So, that's why it's colder at higher altitudes on both models, even though the heat is coming from the sun. It doesn't actually. It works through convection. That's my explanation.
Right. And then people are like, well, why is it warmer in August in the north than it is in June when the sun's farther in August? And the answer is very simple if you think about it. You can kind of make a spreadsheet. For simple numbers, let's say the Earth cools every night by 10 points, just for a number. So at nighttime, the Earth cools 10 points. So let's start with April. In April, in the north, the sun heats up 11 points. It cools 10. So it's 1 point warmer. May, it heats up 12 points, maybe 13 points. Cools 10. So it's warmer. June, heats up 15 points. 20, even 20 points. Cools by 10. So it's getting warmer. In July, it's going to heat up. So it was 15 in June. Let's say it's 14 in July. Then let's say 12 in August, right? It's still cumulatively getting warmer. But then in September, it only heats up 9, cools 10. October, it heats up 8, cools 10. So now it's getting colder and colder and colder. It's that thermal heat. So that's why it lags. It gets warmer a little bit, and then it just goes all the way around. So think about it that way.
Yeah, I mean, here in Vegas, I can't walk my dog for 3 months out of the year because the ground's 160 to 180 degrees. And then just above that, the air is 110. So, and then the heat's going to travel up. That's why there's going to be ice on Lee Canyon over here. As you go up in altitude, you get less and less of that heat from the sun off the surface of.
Somebody wants me to center my hat. This is Matt Landman's tinfoil hat. It's got silver lining on the inside, so it's a tinfoil hat, a real tinfoil hat. It's literally my head's in a Faraday cage right now, and it's awesome. I would wear this thing all the time if it was cold enough.
I have a fake tinfoil hat, but I like yours, Dave. I got to get one of those.
You can find them on the app on discount code Flat Earth. Matt's a great guy, and the hats are awesome Christmas gifts, and they're really well made. Amazing. Sparrow is the name of the company, I think. Sparrow?
Yep, I can read it on your tag right there.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So it's right down here. Bam. Sparrow, 10% off with Flat Earth. They have shorts, they have shirts. They're actually really well made.
Guys, if you have a question, if you could leave it in all caps, that'll stand out for us. We'd really appreciate it.
Anybody in the chat going to Anarchapulco? It's going to be a great conference this winter in Acapulco. And we got Run Boston Bear joining us. Let's let him in. The mayor of Flat Earth is here. Everybody relax. The kids must be down. Hold on, I got to put on my glasses. There we go. Much better now. You got to unmute, buddy.
I said, what's going on?
What's going on? Run Boston Bear literally FaceTime me running in a half marathon with his pregnant wife.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'm glad you got the call.
And you know what? You're such a nice guy. I couldn't use my favorite joke comment of all time. When you see a pregnant woman that's beautifully pregnant, obviously pregnant, you say to her, you go, you don't even look pregnant. You just look a little fat, right? It's the greatest line ever.
You could totally use that with my wife. She's chill based, and she really just laughed.
I'm just kidding.
Nathan, I'm glad that you shouted out your TikTok because I have notes. I was like, Enoch of TikTok, look him up, guys. He's got 6,564 followers. He does lives all the time. You can join in the conversation. So Nathan and I met at the Greg Locke Dean Odell debate. That's where we stood in the back and chatted it up. I wanted to shout out domeshot.io. Just go to domeshot.io, read about this dome because it's amazing. It's fun to be a part of that. And then Dave, I wanted to tell you, I shot Dr. Steve Young an email this morning just because I was listening to his book, A Fool's Wisdom, and he also has headflux.com. I'll spell that. I'm going to drop it in the chat in a minute. HEDFLUX.com because he makes what he calls alchemical music. So it's tuned to the right frequency. The beats are sick. And today I ran 20 miles. So I ran a half marathon yesterday and 20 today by myself on the trails with his music when I was going 20 minutes fast. And when I was doing 20 minutes of recovery, I switched to his book. And I did that for almost 3 hours.
Wow. Wow. You're out of control.
But what's funny is when I sent the video, it went upside down and he responded and was like, I thought you were in Australia, bro, because like he knows it's a plane and he was just messing with me. But his book, A Fool's Wisdom, let me look at what he said. It's winning, not awards, but I'll look it up. Also look up markgober.com under his book section. He wrote An End to the Upside Down Cosmos. And I think you did an interview with Mark, right?
I did. And his book is right in here. Right on the main page right there, End of the Upside Down Cosmos. He's got a whole series of great books. The guy's awesome.
That's awesome.
And, he's not afraid to look into the truth. Hey, getting to a couple of questions. People said, someone's talking about the app. Any chance you can not have it in landscape mode, have it in portrait mode? I hate portrait mode, but no, that's everyone takes pictures in portrait mode. I mean, in portrait, not landscape. And I'm a big landscape guy, but you can't because it doesn't work. There's too much going on with the app. There's certain parts that are portrait. So no, we can't change that. What do you think about stars being seen through the moon?
It's called the Coolidge effect. Even on the globe religion, it happens, allegedly. So I haven't seen it personally. I've been looking for it for 10 years. But Goot Juice says, my son's in kindergarten. What map should I put on the wall in his room? I want a good FE map. I just found a really cool map. It's like the Navy Gold Gleason map. It's got a bunch of extra information. I just ordered it. I don't even know what's on it. But that one's really cool looking. The Gleason map, I mean, it works just fine. I don't know what's wrong with the Gleason map.
If you hit the more resources button, which is on the app, which is the spiderweb button, right here is a high-res downloadable Gleason's map, I believe.
Hey Dave, I found the email.
Yeah.
Dr. Young said the book hit #1 in philosophy of science category yesterday on Amazon in UK, displacing Sam Harris, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Aaron Schrödinger.
Nice.
Pretty epic. Yeah, I don't want to throw off y'all's show. I just wanted to pop on and tell you I love what you both do. I mean, both of you are pushing back the darkness, slaying these questions. I mean, I know if I talk too long, you'll get behind on everything that you're doing. So,
Sarah, you can hang out for a little bit. Maybe you want to answer a question. Please comment on the final experiment and the disputes. Nathan, you wanna throw your 2 cents in there?
Yeah, it's not an experiment. First of all, it's not the final anything. That's not how science works. On top of that, in Abu Dhabi, they have these photovoltaic cells inside of a dome to mimic the Enelima for an observer in the south and in the north. And they spent millions of dollars doing it. And in the south, it arcs away from the observer. So I'm convinced that's what we're going to see. I got to say bye to my friend Miguel. We're testing Lake Mead tomorrow in Vegas, and I need someone in Tahoe. If anyone's in Tahoe, my host yesterday for a month has been on TikTok. Come on up. I'll house you. We want to test it. Yesterday, he's like, oh, I got to ask my roommates. I don't know if it's cool. I'm like, bro, I'm going to find someone else. So if anyone's in Tahoe, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to get a room or something. But cheers.
FlatEarthFlyers@gmail.com.
Thanks, Dave.
yep. And Sparkle said, where can I find more info on dinosaurs or lack thereof? I would say Crow 777 radio, like CRROW 777radio.com has some dinosaur hoax videos, and Eric Dubay has a couple epic ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't be afraid to subscribe to Crow. Everyone needs to listen to his stuff. JT, I tell people, don't send your kids to college. It's a waste, right? Send them to Crow University. A couple families did it, and their kids are awesome now. Their kids are like interested in stuff. They stopped playing video games. They stopped being hoodlums, right? They've got interested in all sorts of stuff. They want to start their own businesses. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like I've subscribed. I hated history, architecture, because I guess I sensed that it was all nonsense. It was all BS. But now it's like I can't get enough of it.
I've subscribed for months and months and months, and I'm so busy with FE stuff and like staying in the community up to speed. I don't get to hear very many of his.
It's always top of the list for me. I always listen, and I crank through it. 2 hours goes by, it's done.
I'm gonna have to do it. I mean, I'm trying to catch up on Steve Young's book, A Fool's Wisdom, and Mark Gober's book. And the reason I'm shouting them out is there's something coming after the final experiment on my channel with those two and with it. So
listen, here's a little trick. You know how you listen to stuff on double speed, right?
Yeah.
So when you're running with all of the kids, you can actually put two different things, one earphone in one ear and another thing. So listen to Crow in one ear and Goberg on the other while you're running with the kids. Okay.
And I've done stuff like that before. Listen, I've been on Flat Earth Friday, staying in tune in the right ear with what's happening totally, and then watching something that I really need to get caught up on. And my brain is kind of working double time, but I can do it.
It's not good.
Let's see what we can find with questions. Yeah, it kind of hurts your brain a little bit.
Are there records of comets appearing day and night for days?
Say that again. Comets?
Yeah, like Halley's Comet. That's normally around for a few days, correct?
Yeah. But that's like once every 76 years.
It's cyclical.
Yeah. It just stops by to say hi every once in a while. And then according to the NASA article, it goes home. Wherever home is, I don't know.
So Halley's Comet goes way out, right, for 40 years, right? And we're flying 500 million miles, 4.4 billion miles a year. And somehow it knows to come back to where we are, right?
And so it goes home again.
Billion miles times 76 years, and then it finds us.
What do you think about this, Dave? Do you think that the moon is reflecting a map of the Earth? Because I personally don't.
I think that there is some sort of connection, as we're all part of the same living system. So there is something to the shapes on the moon. They're not meaningless. They're connected to us, just like we have similar DNA to monkeys, but we're not monkeys, right? That might have similar shapes to something on the Earth, but it's not I don't know if it's a map of the Earth or not.
I've got an interesting silicon moon theory. I came up with this based on like silicon being used in all the electronics. They use silicon wafers, which is a silicon disk. Am I sharing screen, Dave?
Yep.
This is forward-looking infrared. I think Jay Tolan took this. And the bottom picture is the index, UV index for the Earth. It's focused between the tropics, exactly what we would expect with the sun, local to us between the tropics. But if these are both balls reflecting light, why is the light not propagating off the surface in a similar fashion? So this right here, in my opinion, is just a globe debunk. But also you go forward, the unlit portion of the moon has no thermal energy at all whatsoever.
I saw that.
It's almost as if it's not even there. And then you have like the brightest thing on the moon here is behind a mountain and behind the curvature of the moon if it's a sphere. So I think there's lots of evidence that it's flat, but these craters appear to be filling up as the moon goes through its phases. I've got another video here about how sulfur is made in a disk, and it does the exact same thing. It starts out as a little, I think it's in this one. Yeah, it's right here at the bottom. You'll see that sulfur. It forms as a crater on the outside, and then it fills up from the inside out. Almost exactly what we see on the moon. Look at that. That is just incredible. It's very similar to what I was just pulling up here. And then you go forward. The brightest part looks like it's near the terminator line. Like all the light is mostly being generated there. And then there's chemiluminescence, is a reaction of light from a chemical reaction. What stood out to me is this blue-gray color, because I remember Samuel Rowbotham described the moonlight having a bluish-gray luster, and it's a semiconductor. And that's what led me down this rabbit hole. Transistors are used to amplify or switch electrical signals. So think of a relay race. It's two people or four people running in a circle, and they're handing off a baton. They're handing off energy. I think the real relay race is taking place in the sky with the moon going through its phases. And then we get a new moon every 29 and a half days. Silicon has a high chemical affinity for oxygen. And I find that interesting because how we make silicon is you take quartz or gravel and you superheat it with carbon. So if there's carbon dioxide up there and just quartz on the surface superheated, you can make sulfur. And when voltage is applied, energy is absorbed. That's what this whole video is about, the moon diode.
Now something is not adding up with the moon. We had something is not adding up with the moon. We had the eclipse on April 8th.
And this guy right here talks about diodes and how they transfer energy.
As more and more charges build up, you can see the force because of electrostatic repulsion between those similar charges. Those electrons are trying to repel each other. So the force becomes stronger and stronger to push electrons through that depletion zone.
So everyone on TikTok found it interesting. The song Blinded by the Light is entirely about the sky. It says at the end of the song, Mama always told me not to look at the sun, but Mama, that's where the fun is. And there's a verse in there that talks about a silicon sister with a manager mister. And it plays the song with a funky break. And it reminded me of the eclipse, how it pauses for 4 minutes. There's a slight attraction between the sun and the moon. Then the sun passes the moon and continues back on its circuit. It's like a cosmic kiss every time we have an eclipse. Yeah, it's kind of beautiful. So all in there.
Interesting. Paige brought up yesterday the the whole thing about Santa and the Satan and the anagram and how it's all it comes from just not a good place, and that Christmas was actually banned 100 years ago or whenever, I'm not sure the dates, because it was literally a satanic thing. She said, what about the song he knows if you are sleeping, if it's AI, like your phone knows if you're sleeping, knows if you're awake, he knows bad or good, so be good for your credit score's sake.
What's Siri backwards? It's an iris.
Yeah.
It's an eye.
Yeah.
It's always watching you.
Yeah.
So interesting. We had one here. Where can we find a working flat earth clock like your app to hang on the wall, Dave?
I used to make them. I made about 150 of them, and it was a big pain in the ass, and they're hard to ship, and they cost too much, and so I stopped making them. But you can make one yourself. You can go on somewhere, find online, find a 24-hour clock with a blank face or a regular face. Get the clock, measure the diameter, pick out your favorite map, put the numbers on it, and pop it in the clock. and then put a yellow sticker on the hour hand. And now you have your flat Earth clock.
All right, I've been dropping links. I dropped Joe's. Hey, I was wondering, Nathan, have you watched much of Joe Hanvey's work?
No, I haven't.
I dropped Joseph. So basically, Joe Hanvey's just a chill guy. He's a follower, like faithful dude. He's been into the game for 14 years, like absolute flat earther for 14 years. He has 2 amazing telescopes. He's always pointing them up in the sky. And he actually went to the Truth and Freedom Conference. And he's the one, and Dave knows him well. He has these acrylic domes and all kind of lasers and lights. And like he'll project a moon on the wall and a sun on the wall, and that reflection of the light in a dark room shows on his dome, and he's able to recreate the rotation of the stars on his acrylic dome and put cameras inside and see exact rotations. Like he's in the game to completely have an entirely working model of all the luminaries, but he's just doing step by step right now. But you should look him up. So what I was saying is all his stuff was on Facebook, everything. And now he's slowly moving things over onto YouTube. He actually has a great video. If people will go to the final experiment, like Will Duffy's TFE YouTube page and go to live, he said, if I'm going to do a video or if I'm going to do an interview with you, I want it to be live. And it's the first one that I think that Will Duffy did on his channel, kept it up, and he just completely stands strong for what he believes. He's not letting any other flat earthers influence what he said, and what he said is very powerful. I'll drop the link.
Yeah, Caleb uploaded his video of the dome. Really interesting explanation. Because Vika Drazev has been sharing it too.
Nathan, can you recite I actually, on my last live stream, I actually played that clip that you sent me today. Did you know that I was looking for that clip? Did I mention that I wanted someone to clip that? I did.
You told me you wanted that clip. Yeah.
So the when people say why, and it's a great question for a newbie, why would they lie? We don't know, but we can surely speculate. And Nathan doesn't mind speculating. Can you do that from your memory?
Yeah, I can go off memory, but I think I can play the video with the memes too, if you want. But what would you like, Dave?
Either way, whatever you want. You want to do the video? Play the video.
Yeah, I like the video. I just uploaded it today. I'll give you an idea.
Yeah.
Here's my TikTok, guys.
It's a 2-minute video. Is it the Enoch TikTok?
Yeah, I'd love to show the dome being gold video as well. This is the real Nathan Thompson. My game, the tag there is Enoch of TikTok, but you find me at the real Nathan Thompson. Why would they lie about the shape of the earth? Let's check it out.
I guess I don't know that this will really prove
this means
thing that's round.
Can't tell you why my ex-girlfriend.
Oh, that's Caleb. Hold on.
It's all right. It comes right after that. It comes right after that.
Okay, so like no matter what I say, you could actually appeal to incredulity, which is like, oh, I just don't believe what you're telling me. But like, I'm going to speculate why they would lie to you about the shape of the earth, right?
Right.
Or they hide free energy. They keep you at the pump every 3 days when you don't need to do that. They keep you paying an electricity bill every 30 days when you don't need to do that. And then on top of that, they get you to deny your reality, to deny your senses. The definition of the word insane is the inability to perceive reality. So if you can make everyone you're trying to rule over and control in the palm of your hands insane, well, that's powerful. But also the definition of a delusional disorder is someone who can't tell what's imagined from what is real. So if someone has a delusional disorder and they're also insane, they're also a lot easier to manipulate. So you could convince them every 4 years that how they change the world is they vote. And you could convince them that the air is scary and they should cover their face and they should get a experimental medication in their arm. And you could literally shape and control the world into whatever you want. So if people can't see the motive to control what the world is and then shape and mold that into whatever they want, well, they're not ready to have an intellectual discussion about how the earth doesn't curve 8 inches per mile squared, how we're not spinning, how you're not in a vacuum of space, how you've been lied to about the reality of what you live in. And welcome to Flat Earth. Thanks for playing.
There you go. Well said. It's not too hard to see why they do this. It is how they keep us all slaves. Look how much freer flat earthers are, even though we're still kind of stuck in their system, but we've literally unplugged from their fear matrix, and we have more wonderment and more hope and more thrill every day is truly amazing. It's hard to it's I don't think I've had a day where I haven't been excited for the day, thrilled at what I'm learning during out the day. And when I go on these big shows, little shows, talk to random people, and they see it, nothing makes me happier than that. It's truly, I don't know. I don't want to say God has called me to this, but maybe God has called me to this. This is being my authentic self. This is what I want to do, and it seems to be working. So, there's and even the people that are coming after me and all of this stuff, God bless them, right? Good luck, right? I'm not worried about you. I'm just going to take care of myself and help as many people as I can wake up to the true nature of our world and our position in it, and how important we are and how special we are. What's it called when somebody wants to feel that they want to feel like they have special knowledge? What's the word? I landed on a Glober TikTok this morning, and they were talking about how flat earthers, it's not where it's not Dunning-Kruger, but where they think they have special knowledge. Well, flat Earth is not special knowledge. It's hidden, right? It's knowledge that's been hidden from us. It's knowledge that should be, everyone should have it, but it's been hidden from us. So, the and they think that we think we have special knowledge, but think about this. Everything that they tell us about the globe is absolutely the dumbest crap ever. And people just buy it up because, hey, somebody in a lab coat told me that. It was in a book. I was tested on it in school. It must be real. And most people believe it, right? And if you go down that route, it's the lazy route, and that's how they get us. People are lazy, right? Flat earthers, we're not lazy. We work our minds, right? We work our minds. We actually make them work. Globers just memorize and regurgitate.
Yep, 100%. I've said it a bunch of times on Flat Earth Friday and in different streams, Ether Cosmology when we get together, or Earth Awakenings, just all these different places where you can use your voice to speak. That's important to me, to hear people's voice, or folks have to be bold enough to talk with me, because I disengage from the chats. Like the comment section and just the chat, that could be bots, trolls, they could be paid off. Who knows why they're doing what they're doing? But if they have evil inside of them, I don't want to associate. But if you're going man to man and you're speaking to the person, it's a lot easier to say, hey, I don't have anything against what you believe. This is what I believe. And ultimately, Dave, what I think you just said is the truth is important and powerful, and it will set you free. I'm living proof of it. I didn't need flat earth. I wasn't looking for something because I was bored or lonely. I had everything I needed. I got a beautiful family, and I don't have any want. And I've got good friends and good relationships. But when someone told me that I cared about, said, hey man, outer space, as they taught you when you were little, it's not reality. You can't actually go light years or even to the moon. And I thought he was tripping me. I thought he was pulling my leg or just trying to make me think he was kidding, because that's ultimately my knee-jerk reaction was, you got to be joking, dude. But once I realized and started looking into it, the rabbit holes are everywhere, and it seems like people don't want to even start because it may be scary to realize we've been lied to on so many levels. But I've been set free from it. I'm not scared of anything at all, and now I'm putting my face out there saying everyone else should look into what's true and what's not, because it can save your life, and actually your physical health, your spiritual health, your body, your mind gets unshackled from the weight of these demonic lies. And people are attacking flat earthers like we're idiots or like we're the demon, but no, we're just seeking the truth. So anyway, that's my little speech.
So we had a question. I think this is the first Glober question I've seen in a while. Earth's shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse. The Earth casts a round shadow on the moon, which can only occur if the Earth is spherical. Well, first, Ray Wallace, I would look into the selenelion, or the impossible eclipse, where the sun and the moon are both above the horizon to a single observer during a lunar eclipse. They call it the impossible eclipse because it wouldn't happen if the Earth's shadow was causing that. On top of that, the terminator line during a lunar eclipse, changes direction, it also becomes more distinct as it moves across the moon's surface. The only way that would work is if the Earth was moving closer or further away from the moon. That's how you would get the shadow to fade in or out, but that's not what the heliocentric model says is happening. Also, the NASA uses the Saros cycle, which was developed by Babylonians 2,000 years ago to predict eclipses. And Fred Espenak has 12-year geocentric ephemerides for the sun, the moon, and the planets. You can find those on the internet too. Fred Espenak works at the Goddard Space Center, and he's the one who does the predictions for eclipses as well. And I'll end with the three-body problem. This will take about 20 or 30 seconds, guys. Give me a second. There's all these assumptions in the three-body problem, right? The problem is that in mainstream science and astronomy, they cannot calculate three bodies of mass orbiting a center of mass. The system becomes chaotic. But that's a video game. What goes into the video game? Assuming the Earth's a sphere, assuming it spins on an axis, assuming that we orbit the sun, which they can't scientifically model or prove that we're moving, assuming the vacuum of space next to a gas pressure gradient, and then they put all that into a video game and the system collapses. They can't predict eclipses with three bodies. And there's 280 planets and moons in our solar system. So they actually have a 280 body problem, not a three-body problem. And the three-body problem is a video game with a bunch of assumptions. So.
Also, when you look at the shape of a shadow, it's not telling you, when you see the on the moon, I'm trying to find, I have an example where a ball is casting a shadow onto another ball. And where is it? Eclipse shadow. Is this it? Maybe this is it. So lunar eclipse. Let's see. Yeah. So when you have a ball casting a shadow onto a flat surface, it looks exactly like we see an eclipse. But when a ball, this is a flat surface, right? When a ball casts a shadow onto another ball, this is the one. Hold on a second. There it is. It comes in as an ellipse, it morphs, and then it leaves as an ellipse. And we never see that, right? I'm not saying the Earth is flat. See, it comes in at a weird angle, right? So if you take a single source light and get a basketball and draw a circle on the wall, you can take that basketball and eclipse it, and it looks just like the eclipse. But get a ball and cast a shadow from another ball and eclipse it. It comes in as a long ellipse. It centers out, and then it leaves as an ellipse. But that's not what we see. We see this. Now, does that mean? Yeah,
an S-wave shadow.
Go ahead. What's that?
I think they call that an S-wave shadow when you have a ball moving in front of another ball.
Right. So again, everything they tell us about the lunar eclipse is impossible. None of it works. But the statement that you made is a program statement. The only way that can happen is if it's a sphere, right? Because that's what you were programmed to say. What difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. It's the same thing. You can't see the curvature like a microbe on a basketball would see it as flat, right? These are things that we've been programmed to say. And the truth is, your eclipse doesn't work at all on a globe.
Hey, I'll tell you something that I did with the kids today, and it was just for fun. My wife was sitting there and the kids, and it was daytime, and you could see the moon up there. And I just said, come here, come here. I was like, if I took the moon and I brought it all the way down to pretty close to the ground, how big do you think that thing would be? And then they were thinking about it. And I was like, probably from here. And I told them to stay, the city away. And it was like maybe 32 miles or so. And I said, now imagine Texas, like how big is Texas and how big is that distance I just told you? Because I don't think it's as big, as they say. And then if you think of the United States and even the world, like one of the big points that folks need to realize is the terra firma that we walk on, the earth that we explore and touch is vast and expansive. And these luminaries, the sun and the moon and the stars are all much smaller than the earth. We're the ground level. We're the main point of all of it. And these revolving bodies above us, they are not bigger than the earth. And that's something that I want my kids to understand and to sink in, because it's the truth.
But JT, do you know that you can fit how many Earths can fit in the sun, Nathan?
I'm not sure on the exact number.
It's like 1,000 Earths can fit inside this. So 1,000 of these can fit inside of this.
Yeah, the three best evidences that I always bring up on TikTok for the local sun are crepuscular rays converging to a central point. You need three things for crepuscular rays: local light source, obstruction, which would be the clouds, and some sort of particulates in the air. Otherwise, you don't see the rays. That's how they make them on stages if they need crepuscular rays on a stage. On top of that, you've got the UV light index with the sun's light focus between the tropics. And then we always bring up, because we have like a dozen examples of this now, the sun shrinking in angular size with the solar filter. On a globe, if we're just tilting backwards, and that's the cause of the sun setting, we're moving away from the sun at 0.00004 degrees. That's the change that you're moving away, or 4%, not degrees. But we wouldn't see 20 to 40% size reduction in the sun. If the sun's going through a denser medium, the only thing that could happen is it appears larger on the heliocentric model, because that's what lights do when they go through denser mediums. But we're seeing the sun shrink 20 to 40%, and it's just going to get worse from here. So that would not happen on a globe. Oh, and someone asked in the chat, could we get more info on the old calendar that matched stationary Earth, the Enoch calendar, the Hebrew calendar, etc.? That's Kenny Woodall. Kenny, I would look at this video. I actually mirrored it on my channel. You'll see it right below. This is the full video. It's got 5,000 views. Pastor Ben Heath, Christian Overcomers, deep inside the Saros eclipse cycle. And I just love this video. Found it riveting, inspirational. Check it out. So.
Is somebody actually asking how the sun sets? Is that one of your friends, JT?
No.
He says, yep. For JT, tell him I asked how the sun sets. How does the sun set?
They want me to answer that?
I don't know. Maybe they want you to ask me. I don't know.
Well, either way, I mean, I could go for it, because the sun is a parent, and every person sees a sun that's there's a dome of vision over us. We have a limit to our vision. Everyone sees the sun rise up in the morning, go to the zenith, and go down and set. But that's just for the location. And because they have eyes, they see that happen. But when it's rising for me at my horizon, and somebody down the line that way on the flat earth, it's noon for them. It's the zenith. So that tells me that it's apparent. And how does the sun set? Well, I'd have to first point you at railroad tracks. If you see parallel railroad tracks running off into the distance, they converge to a single point, and it looks like they smash together, but we know they don't. The sky and the ground do the same thing as the railroad tracks as they go off into the distance. And any cloudy day, and I challenge this for anybody that's struggling to believe in flat earth or even look into it, on a day where you have white, fluffy clouds, you'll notice that straight above you, they'll be really high, and they'll staircase down all the way to the horizon. But if you drove the 14 or 16 miles over there, they'd be the same height there that they were in your yard, right? So the sun follows kind of that angle, and the ground is ramping up, the sky's ramping down, and as the sun just goes on its circuit all the way around the flat earth, it just appears to set because it leaves your limit of vision. The best I can do.
It just goes beyond the atmospheric deck of opacity, which I call it.
Mm-hmm.
And the simplest explanation is my flat earth kitchen. So here's the flat earth counter, and then we have the path of the sun, and we're looking at it from a celestial point of view at the height of the sun. So this could be clouds, atmosphere, or just mountains, but we're clearly above it. So now I also have a terrestrial camera on the counter watching it from the other side. And so this line is level. Now we look at it from the counter. This line is level, and the sun does not go behind or below. It goes beyond this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's great, Dave.
I think he froze up.
We froze again? This happened earlier.
You weren't frozen. Earlier when you were sharing your screen, he said he couldn't see you, but I saw everything you were presenting.
Oh, okay. So we're still good on the YouTubes. I'll just add, right? With celestial navigation.
Beyond this atmospheric deck of opacity right there. It's going beyond it. Watch it again. It's exactly what this is. Am I frozen?
You were. You're not now.
I was frozen.
20 seconds or so. We're good. Wow, that's
All
a
right.
great video.
So
of the sun.
did you see it?
Yeah, we saw
I need to
that.
do it again.
No, we saw it. Yeah, it was
And we
good.
saw that part.
Yeah. So
Saw it from the surface too. Yeah, you showed
Yeah.
us all this. We only missed a little bit.
right. So at the very end, this is where it's going below. It's going beyond here, the atmospheric deck of opacity. This is where you can't see any farther, even with the telescope, because it's opaque. So the sun is just going beyond it, not below it, beyond it. There's your sunset. And it takes its light with it.
All right,
And-
another good example that the sun is above the horizon when it sets. Dave, sorry, am I interrupting
Yeah,
you?
go ahead. No, you're good.
Another good example, the sun's above the horizon when it sets is a green flash. You'll see a shimmer of green and sometimes even blue above the sun when it sets. Now, the way the light's refracting through the atmosphere, the blue and the purple and the green are refracted first, and then you get the red, the orange, the yellow. Those wavelengths are longer and they travel through the atmos better than the blue and the green. So if the sun was going below the atmosphere, the first colors to refract down would be the purple, the blue, and the green, and you would see the green flash under the sun. But we see the sun coming from above the horizon, where the first colors to refract are the blue and the green, and so they appear above the sun. And you can see this on like the Pink Floyd album. If you look at the light, when it's coming from below, their colors are a certain fashion. And if you look at a prism with the light coming from above, those colors invert. And so I would say the only way we would get a green flash is on a flat Earth with the sun disappearing above the horizon into the distance.
You know, Pink Floyd even screwed up the head of NASA, who last year said that the astronauts, that the Chinese were going to the dark side of the moon. He said that. He said that last year, that there's no reason to go to the dark side of the moon or something like that. He thought that the back
said
of
it's
the
like
moon.
always there is no dark side of the moon. It's always lit or something like that. He said something stupid, bro.
No, he said that. Yeah, it's the dark side of the moon. It's like so stupid.
Yeah, it's the dark. Yeah, it's never lit. Yeah. He said it's never lit.
Question for you, and there's no way to answer with the correct answer. Is he that stupid, or is he making fun of us? Which one?
God only knows, bro.
God knows. God knows. Yeah, and I love this one. This one is, I believe this is Afghanistan, right? The sun's not going down; it's going away. Or the photographer is falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, according to the heliocentric model. It's just going away. Fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning around.
The speed of sound's another 666, and knots, it's 666 knots an hour. Just so you know.
We got 10 more minutes, and then we're going to shut it down. And I encourage everyone, go over to Mark Sargent's channel, and he's going to do a little tribute to Zulu One, who passed away live on the show last week. Pretty sad. Great guy for the community, and you know, I'm sure he'll make you laugh and make you cry.
Yeah, man. Just a couple weeks, just a hair over a couple weeks ago, I jumped on NDB's, I guess it was his anniversary show, and it was just NDB and No Despair Bear and Zulu, and I hopped on. They just said they put a link and chatted a bit, and it was heavy on my heart. I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, what? But I'm just lifting up his family, his friends, and you know, Dave, you mentioned it the other day, and I actually heard Darius talking about this, and it really impacted me. He said we're programmed to be sad or mad or angry that somebody's moved on. But he asked the question, he said, how do we not know that they're extremely overjoyed, like with what that next chapter might look like? And
I am beyond convinced that when you go, there's nothing sad about that, except for the people and that are going to miss you. That's all.
Yeah.
Right? But if you understand what this place is, the soul system, right? And that, you know, what I remember when people died, people come, oh, it's okay. They're back with the Father now. They're in a happier place. I'm like, it's like, get out of here. Just shut up. Right. You know, that's kind of how I felt. But now I'm like 100%. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And boy, does that help you deal with situations like this. So for those who don't know who Darius is, in the app on the homeschool section, the homeschool section, the first folder is a new folder I added, Darius J. Wright. He's a guy that does outer body. He's been having OBEs, outer body experiences, and he talks about a lot of stuff about a being that guides him and shows him what this place is, and it all ties it together in my book.
Yeah. And I mean, I've known from the beginning that this life is but a vapor. It's here today, gone tomorrow. It's a flash in the pan. So the way that I live my life is I live like today's my last, and I want to love people fully and richly. I want to have fun. I want to bless people if at all possible, because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. But there's no reason to be scared about dying, because it's going to happen at some point, either tomorrow or in 50 years. So just don't worry and be happy.
What do you got there, Nathan?
Someone in the chat asked, what kind of shape could produce the eclipse we see? I think they have to be talking about a lunar eclipse, but I don't even think it has to be something physical blocking the light for the moonlight. I think the moon could be moving through a node or a phase in the sky where their light is polarized. The light that it's generating gets polarized. And the reason I think that is, if you look into the quantum Venn diagram paradox, they deal with polarized lenses. And when you take two of them and you line up the two screens, it completely blocks out all the light. But then you add a third polarized lens behind it, and more light starts coming through. And it's like on the heliocentric model, that makes absolutely no sense, because they pretend light are little like cannonballs of energy. So how are you blocking out all the cannonballs of energy, and then you add a third filter and the cannonballs somehow are able to pass through? That makes absolutely no sense. But and they'll claim on the heliocentric model that redness we see with the lunar eclipse is refraction from the light coming around the atmosphere of the Earth. Well, then the eclipses would be based on weather, not the solar cycle. You'd be predicting the weather years or months in advance. And on top of that, you see the darkness come over the lunar eclipse first, then it goes into polarization phase, the umbra, and it's bright red, purple, and orange sometimes. And so then the shadow moves away and it goes dark again. So if it was the refraction of the Earth's atmosphere around the Earth, you would see the dark portion or the red portion first, then it would move into the Earth's shadow, it would be dark, and then it would go red again as it moves through the atmosphere.
And how it goes.
Yeah, and so this was a Foucault pendulum. This was interesting. It talked about how that Newton didn't assume, he missed the fact that the moon was immaterial. But it also says there's a source of energy in the north that's more powerful than atomic energy. And all the secret societies of the world were working together to figure out how to harness that atomic energy so they could take over the world. And the climax of the book is that they couldn't actually map all the subterranean and telluric currents until they put it on a north polar projection, a top-down version of the Earth, basically a flat Earth map. That was like the climax of the whole book. They had to use a flat Earth map to take over the world. So interesting, truth in plain sight, but they put it in a fiction book, of course. Yeah.
Amazing. JT, any final words? I'm going to drop the link for Strange World, which is coming up in 7 minutes.
Yeah, I'll be over there. I'll be using my squeezy boots. They're called Normatec boots, and they squeeze really tight in your feet and your calves, and it gets rid of inflammation and waste products after you run. My final words are subscribe to my channel. It's just YouTube /Run Boston Bear. I've been doing some lives, so I've got some interviews going, and like I said, there's going to be a really sweet one coming in a couple weeks. I also put clips up. If I hear anything in the community happen and I'm like, man, that's fire, I'll clip it and I'll put it up. I don't get the clips put up as often as I'd like, because first and foremost, I'm a married man and got 3 kids with 1 on the way, and families first. So like right now I got all the kids down and I was able to join y'all, but I have like 20 or 30 clips saved that are amazing, that are coming out soon. So thanks for letting me share that. Thanks for letting me come on tonight.
Yeah, no problems. Galactrax Bear said, I would like you to answer these 2 questions. Ready, Nathan? Why would they lie? Where were you before? And how could they all be in on it? Right?
They're not. Yeah, they're not all in on it. It's called compartmentalization. It's people are on a need to know basis. So just because you make the shoe for an astronaut, they're not like, by the way, we're faking the moon landing. You're just going to make the shoe, go home and collect a check. On top of that, why they would lie? Well, the definition of someone who's insane is someone who has the inability to perceive reality. So if they can make people insane, they're easier to manipulate. I'm going to add this too. I haven't said this yet, but anyone who's lost, what's the first thing they ask someone for? Directions. So if you're in the business of governing people, you want them constantly looking to you for direction, what to do. Right. Tell me what
spinning out of control, lost in space, don't know who you are, where you are, what this place is, deluded creator, fear, right? You must be new here. So
hold on. Galatrax is totally a flat earther. He's trolling y'all.
He's trolling me.
He's in Ether Cause all the time. He's a legend.
All right, tell him to drop that. All right,
yeah, right.
Sorry. Next week we'll do a memorial for you, my friend. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. See, that's why we need you here, RBV.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Much love, y'all. I'm gonna dip out, let you close it out, but thank you so much.
All right. I dropped the link to Strange World. Go say goodbye to Zulu and hello to Mark. And Nathan, that was fun. We'll do it again sometime. And it's unlike TikTok. TikTok's different. You got some diehard globehead trolls over there.
I call them pet globers, bro. They are off the rails daily, dude. I have almost 30 episodes of Globers Gone Wild. They are losing it, guys. They are losing it on TikTok. It's highly entertaining. Get some popcorn ready for the show if you join.
It is good. And when do you mostly stream? When do you mostly live? You're on Dips Live mostly, right?
I don't have a schedule at the moment at all. It's kind of when I'm tired and I don't hear Glover saying something stupid, I go to sleep.
Okay. So anytime, day or night.
Anytime. And if you guys need the flyers or the thumb drive, it's flatearthflyers@gmail.com.
Yeah.
It's at The Real Nathan Thompson is my TikTok. My YouTube channel is Be The Change, one word. I'm looking for people in Lake Mead, Tahoe, Salton Sea, or Pacific Ocean that can help me press record on the infrared camera. I've got a 200,000 lumen flashlight. We're going to debunk the globe pretty soon. Shout out tinfoilhatfactory.com. Paul is doing great work over there. And also want to shout out Paraplegic Bear. He just has awesome coffee, and I love the guy. He's always doing good things for me in the community, and I really appreciate it. So
one last thing. Go to TikTok, find Nathan on his lives, and you're on. There's a channel called By the Dip, right? That Dips channel. And
By the Dip, yeah.
By the Dip, and also Nathan's channel. If you haven't heard Nathan on one of those, just like if you're on a long drive or a walk or a run or whatever, listen to him. And if you listen to him for like an hour or two on there, you're gonna want to possibly like, hey, how can I help this guy out? Throw him $5 a month. You won't even forget it. You won't even know it. Throw him, if a couple hundred people threw him $5 a month, Nathan would be living large and doing even more.
Also, it shows the Globers that we have a community, guys. Like when for 10 years, they look at my Patreon and they're like, Nathan makes $30 a month. He's been doing this for 10 years. I never talked about it.
I never knew you had a Patreon. I never knew you had a Patreon until today.
I don't talk about it. So I've been bringing it up more because I do want to get on the road. I just spent $1,000 on the flashlight and the infrared camera. I already have a P1000. I already have a tripod. I already have solar filters. Right. So patreon.com/Nathan Thompson. I just mean the world to me. Even $3, guys. I will use it towards the cause. I promise you. I love you guys.
All right. That is all. And see you guys over at Strange World.
Yeah, I'll see you guys over there. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Salute.